Stop scrolling. Right now. Not because of fear, but because something in your spirit knows this message is not random. You can feel the pull. You can sense the shift. You can tell something in your life, especially your finances, has been trying to break loose. And today, Archangel Michael is stepping forward with a message that refuses to be ignored. Send a super of $100 right now. You've been under pressure for too long. You've been carrying responsibilities nobody sees. You've been praying for answers, guidance, and financial relief, and hearing nothing but silence. But today isn't silence. Today is movement. Today is alignment. Today is breakthrough. But here's the real reason you're being held here. You've missed signs before. You've doubted yourself before. You've run from blessings because you were afraid to believe again. Michael isn't letting that happen today. There's a reason everything felt like it was falling apart recently. There's a reason you lost people, lost opportunities, lost motivation, and almost lost hope. Pressure is often the sign that something bigger is trying to break through. And the pressure you've lived under hasn't been normal. It has been spiritual, emotional, and financial all at once. Bills, responsibilities, deadlines, unexpected expenses. Everything hitting you harder than usual. You know what that was. Not punishment, not abandonment, not bad luck. It was preparation. Because when a major financial shift is coming, life often forces you to face what you've been avoiding. You've held yourself back before. Fear stopped you. Doubt stopped you. Overthinking stopped you. People with small minds stopped you. Shame from past mistakes stopped you. You kept expecting failure because you were so used to disappointment. That season is over. That mindset cannot follow you into your blessing. Your money miracle couldn't arrive earlier because you weren't in the mental space to receive it. You're ready. Not perfect, but ready. Something lately has felt different. Not dramatic. Not loud. But subtle. Random bursts of hope. Unexpected peace. Little signs you brushed off. Small opportunities appearing. Intuitive nudges you couldn't explain. That's not coincidence. That's activation. Your angels have been preparing a financial opening, something that removes pressure, increases flow, and pushes new resources into your life at a speed you're not used to. This is why you can't skip this message. Your alignment is fragile right now. One wrong mindset, one emotional spiral, one moment of doubt, and the blessing slows down again. That's why this message needed to reach you at this exact moment. Stop expecting the worst. Stop assuming the blessing will fall apart. Stop believing nothing good ever lasts for you. Stop giving your past the authority to predict your future. He's not here to scare you. He's here to shift you. Because the blessing is already in transit, but your mind needs to match it. Fear can kill a blessing. Doubt can block a miracle. Overthinking can delay a breakthrough. This time you will not sabotage it. This time you will not shrink. This time you will not apologize for receiving abundance. This time you step into it fully. You're going to notice things change fast, sometimes within hours, sometimes within days. Money showing up unexpectedly. Opportunities reopening. People reaching out with offers. Old blockages clearing. Debts being resolved. Projects gaining momentum. Your name being mentioned in rooms you're not in. This is your moment. This is your window. Michael is essentially saying, when a breakthrough is this close, you need to act with intention, commitment, and seriousness. So if you're watching this live, if you're feeling this message hitting something deep inside you, if you know this word is for you, then I'm asking you boldly, directly, unapologetically, send a super of $100 right now. Not to buy a miracle, not to force a blessing, not because of pressure, but to make a declaration. I'm stepping into my money breakthrough, not running from it. A seed is not about the amount, it's about the mindset behind it. But $100 forces commitment. It makes you take your own breakthrough seriously. It makes you show up differently. It marks the shift in your energy. If you feel the pull, do it. If you feel resistance, that's exactly why you should. Your future is demanding action, not hesitation. As we go into the next sections of this video, understand this. You are not watching by accident. You are not here by coincidence. You are not listening to this message because of luck. You were guided here because your financial story is about to flip. The pressure is ending. The miracle is active. The breakthrough is aligned. And the blessing is unavoidable if you stay grounded. Archangel Michael is standing with you. Now take a breath. Let everything inside you settle. Because we're about to go deeper into the signs, the shifts, the spiritual alignments, the financial movements, and the exact path ahead. Stay with me. This is only the beginning. You've been praying for comfort, clarity, direction, healing, peace, and fresh strength, but you need the truth delivered straight. Comfort doesn't come from staying where you are. Clarity doesn't appear while you ignore conviction, and new doors will never open if you stay loyal to old rooms God already walked out of. This message is not soft because you don't need soft. You need alignment. Something inside you has been shifting. You've been outgrowing the conversations you used to enjoy, the people you used to cling to, the habits you used to hide behind, the entertainment you used to consume, and the reactions you used to justify. Deep down, you know you're changing, even if you don't fully understand it yet. And you've been trying to fight it. You've been trying to explain it away. You've been trying to act like you're still the old version of yourself. But you're not. That version served its purpose, but it's not equipped for where you're heading next. There's a tug in your spirit that you can't ignore anymore. It's not anxiety. It's not confusion. It's not, maybe I'm just overthinking. It's God pushing you to evolve. It's God confronting you with truths you've avoided. It's God removing what cannot walk with you into your next season. You feel distant from things that once gave you comfort because those things never actually healed you, they only distracted you. And God is done letting you distract yourself. He is done letting you settle. He is done watching you shrink yourself to fit environments that are spiritually too small for who you're becoming. That emptiness you've been feeling is not failure, it's space being cleared inside you. That restlessness you've been feeling is not weakness, it's God waking you up. That discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. God will let you feel empty when you're full of the wrong things. You prayed for peace, but you tried to keep the chaos. You prayed for clarity, but you clung to confusion. You prayed for new beginnings, but you refused to let old patterns die. And here's the part you don't want to admit to yourself. Some of the battles you're fighting right now aren't spiritual attacks. They're the consequences of holding onto what God told you to release. You've been crying out, Lord, why does it hurt? God's answer is simple, because you won't let go. You want the blessing, but not the sacrifice. You want the growth, but not the discipline. You want transformation, but refuse to leave behind the behaviors that sabotage you. You want to hear God clearly, but you keep living in noise. You want elevation, but you're clinging to relationships that stunt your spirit. You want to move forward, but you keep revisiting what broke you. Let's be brutally honest. You already know what God told you to walk away from. You already know who God told you to stop trusting. You already know the habit you need to break. You already know the environment you need to leave. You already know the lie you keep telling yourself. You already know the part of you God is asking you to put to rest. You're not confused. You're resisting. Heaven is standing over your life saying, you're not stuck. You just keep choosing what I've already outgrown inside you. You're being called to a higher standard. And you feel it. You've been feeling it for a long time. The old version of you could tolerate chaos. The old version of you could overlook disrespect. The old version of you could live with low standards. The old version of you could survive on fake peace. The old version of you could pretend. The old version of you could run from truth. But that version is dying. This new version that God is shaping cannot survive in the same conditions that wounded you. Now you find yourself irritated by things you used to ignore. Now you sense God's presence more when you disconnect from certain people. Now you feel drained in places where you once felt accepted. Now you can't tolerate lies, even the ones you once told yourself. Now you can't numb your spirit the way you used to. Now you can't hide from God the same way. Now you can't force yourself to fit into rooms that your spirit has outgrown. That's not random. That's transformation. God is separating you so He can elevate you. God is exposing anything that dimmed your spirit. God is making you uncomfortable so you'll move. He is not trying to hurt you, He is trying to heal you. But healing requires honesty. Healing requires obedience. Healing requires walking away from things that don't honor who you are becoming. This is why your heart has been shifting. This is why your circle has been changing. This is why certain prayers remain unanswered, because the answer requires you to change first. This is why you've been losing desire for what once entertained you. Your spirit is starving for deeper things. You are being called higher. You are being called deeper. You are being called forward. You've been asking God to change your life, but you weren't expecting Him to start by changing you. And that's exactly what He's doing. He's not fixing your circumstances while leaving your heart untouched. He's not opening doors while leaving your mindset unhealed. He's not elevating your life while leaving your character unchecked. God starts inside because everything else in your life is built on who you are in the Spirit. This is why your emotions have been unsettled. This is why old wounds have been resurfacing. This is why your past has been confronting you in ways you thought you escaped. This is why old temptations suddenly feel louder. This is why you've been feeling mentally stretched and spiritually stripped. You're being rebuilt, reshaped, purified, grounded, and fortified. Think about a house that needs renovation. Before new walls are put up, the old ones get torn down. Before new floors are laid, the weak ones are ripped out. Before new paint is applied, the cracks are exposed. Before a foundation is reinforced, the weak areas are identified. God is doing the same with you. You prayed for strength, so He's showing you where you've been weak. You prayed for clarity, so He's removing things that blurred your vision. You prayed for better relationships, so He's revealing who can't stay in your life. You prayed for peace, so He's confronting the internal battles you've been avoiding. You prayed for elevation, so He's stripping away the habits that sabotage your future. You prayed for blessings, so He's teaching you discipline. You prayed for destiny, so He's purifying your motives. You prayed for joy, so He's healing the wounds you pretend you don't feel. You wanted change, but you didn't realize how much of you would need to change first. The truth is, you've been living with versions of yourself that were built on survival. Those versions helped you endure storms, betrayal, trauma, heartbreak, rejection, instability, fear, and seasons of darkness. But those versions were created to survive, not to thrive. And God is not interested in you just surviving anymore. He is tearing down the survival version of you, the one that doesn't trust, the one that shuts down, the one that pushes people away, the one that expects disappointment, the one that stays silent to keep the peace, the one that apologizes for existing, the one that hides pain behind a strong face, the one that pretends everything is fine because facing reality felt too dangerous. God is breaking that version down so He can build the real you up. And yes, it hurts. Growth hurts because healing exposes what you've buried. Elevation hurts because it requires separation. Transformation hurts because the old doesn't die quietly. But don't twist the meaning of this pain. It's not destruction, it's construction. Your life isn't falling apart. Your identity is falling into place. You can't hold on to who you were and expect to become who you're called to be. Your past self served you for a season, but that season is over. And every time you try to resurrect that old version, your spirit feels heavy. Every time you try to force yourself back into old patterns, you feel the discomfort. Every time you try to shrink yourself back into old roles, something inside you resists. Your spirit is refusing to downgrade. You don't fit into your old life anymore because you've grown spiritually taller. People you once respected now feel draining. Places you once enjoyed now feel empty. Things you once called fun now feel meaningless. The version of you that tolerated nonsense is gone. The you that excused disrespect is gone. The you that stayed silent to be liked is gone. The you that ignored red flags is gone. The you that needed validation is gone. That old self died quietly, but its ghost still tries to call you back. You feel the pull sometimes. You feel the temptation to slip backward. You feel the desire to return to what was familiar, easy, predictable. But you also feel the conviction. You feel the heaviness in your chest. You feel the whisper, "This isn't you anymore." You feel the discomfort when your spirit tries to return to a level God already pulled you from. Elevation doesn't just require letting go of people. It requires letting go of the version of yourself that settled for those people. You can't take old mindsets into a new season. You can't take old fears into a breakthrough. You can't take old wounds into new blessings. You can't take old patterns into a new identity. This season is about identity more than anything else. God is not just fixing your life, He is fixing you. God is turning you into someone you promised yourself you'd become years ago. He's making you into the healed version of yourself. The confident version. The stable version. The obedient version. The spiritually mature version. The discerning version. The bold version. The peaceful version. The grounded version. The purposeful version. The version that doesn't run from God, but runs with Him. This is not punishment. This is transformation. There's something you need to acknowledge without excuses. You've been holding onto people, habits, emotions, and identities that you convinced yourself were essential to your survival. You didn't call them anchors, you called them comfort. You didn't call them crutches, you called them loyalty. You didn't call them distractions, you called them coping. You didn't call them spiritual weights, you called them familiar. You told yourself you needed them. You told yourself you couldn't function without them. You told yourself letting them go would break you. You told yourself life would be worse without them. You told yourself you were safer clinging to them than facing life without them. But deep down, you knew they were draining you. You knew they were dimming you. You knew they were limiting you. You knew they were poisoning you. You knew they were interrupting your spiritual growth. You knew they didn't belong in the version of yourself you're becoming. God has been pruning you piece by piece, even when you tried to resist. Every person he removed wasn't an accident. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was protection. Every situation that fell apart wasn't loss, it was revelation. Some people were never meant to stay with you, they were meant to pass through. You kept trying to make temporary characters into permanent fixtures, and God stepped in to break the attachment you refused to break. You thought you needed those people, but you didn't, you needed the lesson. You thought you needed that environment, but you didn't, you needed the awakening. You thought you needed that habit to feel stable, but you didn't, you needed to confront your pain. You thought you needed that distraction to avoid loneliness, but you didn't, you needed to face yourself. Here's the brutal truth you've been avoiding. Some things God removed were things you never should have picked up in the first place. You ignored red flags because they felt familiar. You tolerated disrespect because you normalized emotional survival. You dismissed your intuition because you didn't trust yourself yet. You accepted less because you believed you didn't deserve more. You held on to pain because you feared healing would require honesty. And God, in His mercy, let everything crumble so you could finally see reality without illusions. Transformation always begins with truth, and truth always begins with loss. The version of you who tolerated dysfunction had to break. The version of you who settled for breadcrumbs had to end. The version of you who kept abandoning yourself had to die. The version of you who dimmed your light to make others comfortable had to go. You can't evolve while clinging to the very things designed to keep you stagnant. There's a reason your spirit has become sensitive. There's a reason you can't do what you used to do. There's a reason you feel off around certain people now. There's a reason your energy gets drained by environments you once enjoyed. There's a reason you feel God pulling you away from anything that corrupts your peace. You prayed for growth, but you didn't realize how much pruning growth required. You prayed for destiny, but you didn't understand destiny demands detachment. You prayed for clarity, but you didn't know clarity requires separation. You prayed for elevation, but you didn't realize elevation requires shedding dead weight. This is why God has been aggressively disconnecting you from certain paths and connections, not to punish you, but to protect who you are becoming. Look back at your life recently. Notice how conversations that once excited you now feel draining. Notice how people who once influenced you now feel irrelevant to your spirit. Notice how habits that once soothed you now feel empty. Notice how God has closed doors you once begged Him to open. Notice how you find no peace in places where you once sought refuge. Notice how your spirit feels uneasy when you try to revisit old versions of yourself. That's because God is taking you somewhere that requires pure intention, clear sight, healed emotions, and a stable foundation. You can't build a new life on an infected identity. And God loves you too much to let you sabotage the future He's preparing. He is removing anything that whispers to your insecurities. He is removing anything that feeds your fears. He is removing anything that confuses your purpose. He is removing anything that tempts you to shrink. He is removing anything that silences your spirit. He is removing anything that competes with His voice in your life. Not because He's cruel, but because He's committed to your growth far more than He's committed to your comfort. You prayed, God, change me. And now you're watching everything around you shift, and you think something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Everything is aligning. God doesn't prune what is dead, He prunes what is growing. This season may feel like loss, but it's actually alignment. This season may feel like emptiness, but it's actually clearing. This season may feel like separation, but it's actually elevation. This season may feel like confusion, but it's actually divine direction. This season may feel lonely, but it's making room for the right people. You're not being stripped, you're being strengthened. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You're not being abandoned, you're being upgraded. You're not being overlooked, you're being repositioned. And every single thing God removes is making space for what you prayed for. You asked for peace, so He's removing chaos. You asked for strength, so He's removing weakness. You asked for clarity, so He's removing lies. You asked for purpose, so He's removing distraction. You asked for love, so He's removing counterfeits. You asked for blessings, so He's removing the blockages. You asked for direction, so He's removing detours. Everything you're losing is connected to everything you're becoming. You've been asking God why certain structures in your life suddenly collapsed, relationships you depended on, habits that once brought comfort, routines that felt stable, dreams you thought were solid. You assume it's an attack, when in reality, some things fell apart because they were built for a version of you that no longer exists. God will not let you build a castle on sand and call it destiny. When He knows you were meant for higher ground, He'll remove anything that keeps you tied to lower places. You're frustrated because things don't feel consistent anymore. The way you used to think doesn't work. The way you used to cope doesn't help. The way you used to pray doesn't feel the same. Your spirit isn't broken, it's evolving. When God upgrades your calling, He also upgrades your capacity. And capacity feels like pressure before it feels like growth. You want expansion, but expansion starts by dismantling what limits you. God has been trying to get your attention by shaking areas you ignored for too long. You've been tolerating emotional clutter, spiritual emptiness, inconsistent discipline, and moments of self-sabotage. You've been pushing your potential aside so you could entertain distractions. And when you didn't move voluntarily, God started moving things for you, not to punish you, but to protect your future. You've been trying to resurrect old plans because you're afraid of creating new ones. But the truth is simple. The plans you made back then came from survival and fear. The plans God wants for you now come from strength and identity. There's a difference. You're not meant to return to what you outgrew. You're meant to outgrow even more. You keep telling yourself you're waiting on God, but half the time, God is waiting on you, waiting for you to stop going back to people who drain you, waiting for you to stop ignoring your intuition, waiting for you to stop hoping the bare minimum will somehow turn into abundance, waiting for you to stop delaying your purpose while complaining about the lack of progress, waiting for you to make the decisions that align with the prayers you keep repeating. God loves you, but He will not indulge your excuses. He will not negotiate with the old version of you. He will not bend His purpose to fit your comfort. He won't let you hide behind fear anymore. He won't let you pretend you're powerless. He won't let you stay small just because you're scared of who you might become if you actually committed to your calling. There's a fire God is trying to reignite in you. You can feel it. Some days it burns strong. Other days it flickers under the weight of stress, disappointment, and fatigue. But it never dies, because God never lets what He planted in you die. You've been through seasons where that fire dimmed, where life hit you so hard you questioned whether your purpose still mattered. But even in those moments, God didn't withdraw His calling. He held it steady until you were ready to pick it up again. You're stepping into a time where God wants you to stop merely surviving your days and start stewarding them. He wants you to stop reacting and start leading. Stop wishing and start building. Stop apologizing and start owning what He gave you. You weren't created to be passive. You weren't created to be silent. You weren't created to be stuck in cycles. You were created to shift atmospheres, to influence environments, to carry purpose with confidence. But confidence isn't magical, it's intentional. It comes from telling the truth about where you've been and where you're going. It comes from admitting the patterns you've been ignoring. It comes from being honest about the dreams you've avoided. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge, and you can't step into destiny while clinging to denial. Stop telling yourself you're not ready. Readiness doesn't come before the step, It comes after. Every blessing God has prepared for you requires a version of you that only emerges when you move. You've outgrown the mindset that waits for permission. You've outgrown the mindset that asks others what to do. You've outgrown the mindset that doubts God's ability. And you've definitely outgrown the mindset that says you're not enough. The real you, the one God designed, is bold. The real you is resilient. The real you is spiritually sensitive. The real you is aligned. The real you carries authority you don't even realize yet. That's why the enemy has been fighting you so aggressively. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally getting close to discovering your strength. You need to understand something. Your battles haven't been random. They've been strategic. The enemy targeted your confidence because he knew your confidence fuels purpose. He targeted your relationships because he knew the wrong people could derail your calling. He targeted your mind because he knew clarity would make you unstoppable. But what he failed to account for is the fact that God has been strengthening your endurance through every single storm. You're not who you used to be. That's why you're uncomfortable. You're shedding versions of yourself you've outgrown, the quiet version, the fearful version, the insecure version, the self-sacrificing version who kept giving more than you received. You're becoming someone who can no longer be manipulated, underestimated, or overlooked. You're becoming someone who refuses to waste time, energy, or potential on anything that doesn't align with God's plan. This transformation is personal, but it's also purposeful. God is not changing you just for your own benefit. He's preparing you to influence others, to elevate your environment, to carry a message, to shift generational patterns. You're not meant to be hidden forever. You're being refined so you can be revealed at the right time, in the right place, in the right way. Stop thinking your mistakes disqualified you. If anything, they made you wiser. They taught you discernment. They humbled you. They broke your pride. They revealed your strength. God never expected you to be perfect. He expected you to learn, and you have, more than you give yourself credit for. You survived seasons that were designed to break you. You walked through battles that were meant to destroy your identity. But here you are, still standing, still growing, still hearing God, still being shaped. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're exactly where you are supposed to be in the process God designed for you. But you cannot move forward while holding yourself hostage to old guilt, old shame, old regrets, and old versions of yourself. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to become someone healthier, stronger, wiser, and more aligned. This is the part of the journey where God wants you to stop trying to understand everything and start trusting deeper. Trust isn't passive, it's active surrender. It's waking up each day and choosing to believe God is leading you even when the path looks unfamiliar. It's obeying the voice that whispers, move, even when fear screams, stay. It's letting go of what feels safe because you know God didn't design you for a small life. Your destiny is too big for fear. Your calling is too important for hesitation. Your purpose is too divine for excuses. And whether you believe it fully yet or not, you're stepping into a season where your spirit will no longer tolerate anything less than God's best. The old you is gone. The new you is rising. And God is not done, not even close. You've been praying for breakthrough, but breakthrough doesn't happen around you, it happens inside you first. And God is pushing you into a place where the old version of you can't follow. That's why this season feels like spiritual growing pains. You're being stretched in every direction, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and even physically. It's not random, it's preparation. God isn't asking for the same version of you who survived the storms. He's calling forth the version of you who can walk on water. The version who can step into purpose without second guessing. The version who can lead without constantly seeking permission. The version who can stand alone when necessary. You've relied on comfort for too long, and God is stripping away every false sense of stability so you can stand on Him alone. You keep noticing that your spirit gets irritated by things that never used to bother you, meaningless conversations, chaotic environments, inconsistent people, careless energy, empty entertainment. That irritation is not moodiness, it's spiritual. You've been walking through a season where it felt like nothing was happening. But the truth is that everything inside you has been shifting. God has been rearranging the unseen parts of your life. The areas you don't talk about. The wounds you don't admit. The fears you hide behind strength. The disappointments you mask with silence. And the battles you fight when nobody is watching. He has been renewing your spirit quietly, removing layers of pain you didn't even know were still attached to you. Sometimes God heals in ways that feel like breaking, because the old version of you can't survive where He's taking you next. You've been asking, why does this hurt so much? And God has been answering, because I'm removing things that were damaging you slowly. You prayed for peace, but peace sometimes requires separation. You prayed for clarity, but clarity sometimes requires confusion first. You prayed for strength, but strength is often built in moments you wanted to fall apart. You prayed for healing, but healing often requires confronting what hurt you. God is rebuilding you from the inside out. He's touching the deepest layers of your spirit. The ones you pretended didn't matter. The ones you kept buried because dealing with them felt too painful. You are not weak for having moments when you couldn't hold it together. You're human, and God is not ashamed of your humanity. He's not disappointed in you. He's not frustrated with you. He's not losing patience with you. He's not questioning your worth the way you sometimes do. He knows your breaking point. He knows the limits of your heart. He knows the capacity of your strength. He knows the pressures you've been carrying quietly. And He knows that even though you feel tired, you haven't given up. That matters more than you realize. You think your tears were signs of weakness, but they were actually signs of endurance. You think your doubts made you less faithful, but they made you more human. And He loves you fully, even in the moments when you question Him. He is not looking for perfection from you. He's looking for willingness. And despite everything, you're still willing. You're still trying. You're still seeking. You're still showing up. You're still hoping for something better. That's why God is moving in your life right now. Not because you were perfect, but because you remained open. The storm you went through didn't destroy you. And that alone is proof that you're stronger than you think. You've survived things that would have emotionally crushed someone else. You've lived through moments that tried to steal your hope. You've overcome situations that should have broken your spirit. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still walking toward the future. And God is honoring that. He's honoring your endurance. He's honoring your faith. He's honoring the nights you stayed awake trying to hold yourself together. He's honoring the mornings you got up even when your heart was heavy. He's honoring the days you kept going when everything inside you felt exhausted. He's honoring the prayers you whispered with trembling hands. You've been feeling a shift in your spirit. That sense that something is changing. Something is aligning. Something is approaching. That's not your imagination. That's God preparing you for what's coming. You're stepping into a season where things that felt impossible are going to unfold naturally, where burdens you carried for years will suddenly become lighter, where confusion will finally turn into clarity, where closed doors will open without you knocking, where people who tried to break you will become irrelevant to your peace. God is not just restoring what was lost. He's replacing it with something greater. The relationships you lost will be replaced with people who understand your heart. The opportunities that slipped away will be replaced with doors that were made specifically for you. The peace that was stolen will return stronger than before. The confidence that was shaken will become unshakable. The joy you forgot about will rise again in your spirit. You've been walking through a valley, but valleys always lead somewhere. And you're walking toward a mountain, a season of elevation, a season of spiritual height, a season of breakthrough. There are blessings with your name on them that are about to reach you without force. There are miracles that have been stored up for you that are ready to be released. There are breakthroughs that were delayed only because the timing wasn't right and you weren't ready. But now God is saying, you're ready, ready for release, ready for restoration, ready for renewal, ready for transformation, ready for the life He always intended for you. Your spirit has grown. Your heart has matured. Your mind has shifted. Your faith has strengthened. Your vision has expanded. And now God is aligning everything around you with the growth inside you. You're entering a season of divine reversal, where things that worked against you will start working for you, where pain will turn into wisdom, where loss will turn into growth, where tears will turn into testimony. You don't even realize how close you are. You don't see how close the breakthrough is. But God is already preparing the moment. You will look back on this season and say, there are moments in life when you look at yourself and wonder how you're still standing. You've carried weight you never asked for. You've fought battles that no one even knows you're fighting. You've had nights where sleep didn't come, mornings where strength didn't rise, and days where you forced yourself to keep going even though you felt hollow on the inside. And yet, here you are, you're still here. And that alone is evidence that something greater than your pain has been holding you up. Right now, God is speaking into the part of you that feels worn out, not the part you show the world, not the part that smiles on command, not the part that pretends everything is fine. He's speaking directly to the part of you that feels stretched thin, that feels forgotten, that feels afraid of what's coming next. You don't say it out loud, but there's a quiet fear inside you. What if things don't get better? What if I'm stuck like this forever? God hears that fear. He doesn't judge you for it, He steps into it. And He's whispering to you even now, you are not stuck, you are not alone, and this is not the end. God has watched every moment you almost walked away. He's seen you break down and then rebuild yourself. He's seen you pray and then doubt. He's seen you trust and then question. He's seen you stay strong for others even while you were breaking inside. And contrary to what you think, He wasn't disappointed. He was proud, because He sees the courage it took to keep going when everything inside you wanted to give up. You need to hear this clearly. The pressure you feel is not a punishment. It's preparation. You're not being crushed, you're being reshaped. God isn't taking from you, He's clearing space. The things that fell apart weren't meant to stay. The people who walked away weren't part of the next chapter. The opportunities that slipped through your fingers weren't designed for who you're becoming. You keep thinking you're losing, but you're not. You're transitioning. God is about to bring you into a season where what looked empty will overflow. What looked delayed will accelerate. What looked impossible will break open. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to stay available. He's asking you to keep your heart open even when it hurts. He's asking you to trust Him even when you can't see His hand. And yes, He's asking you to rest, truly rest, because you've been carrying things that were never meant to be carried alone. There's a reason your spirit feels uneasy. Something is shifting, something is realigning, something is moving in your favor even though you can't see it yet. Heaven is not quiet. Angels are not idle. God is not distant. You are in the middle of a divine rearrangement. And when God rearranges your life, it's never random, it's intentional, precise, purposeful. You've been begging for clarity, you've been asking for a sign, you've been praying for direction. And here it is. God is telling you that the next part of your story is already written, already protected, already blessed. The doors you fear will stay shut are the very doors He's preparing to swing open. The opportunities you think you missed were never yours to begin with. The peace you feel slipping away is going to return stronger. Your heart will beat lighter. Your mind will calm. Your spirit will breathe again. You're entering a season where God will show you why He made you wait, why he removed certain people, why he closed certain paths, why he blocked certain outcomes, not because he didn't love you, but because he loved you too much to let you settle for less than what he planned. So stop assuming the worst. Stop speaking failure over yourself. Stop replaying the scenarios that broke you. Stop predicting outcomes based on fear. Stop shrinking yourself to make the storm look bigger than God. You have survived too much to doubt now. You have come too far to fold now. And you have grown too deeply to think God brought you here just to abandon you. God is restoring what the enemy tried to steal. He's rebuilding what life tried to break. He's renewing what pain tried to poison. He's reviving what fear tried to bury. And he's releasing blessings that were held back until the right moment. You're not late. He's aligning the timing. Your tears have not been wasted. Your prayers have not been ignored. Your fight has not been unseen. Heaven has been collecting every moment, every sigh, every silent cry. And God is turning all of it into strength, wisdom, elevation, and breakthrough. You don't have to force anything. What's meant for you is already moving toward you. What's yours cannot be stolen. What's coming cannot be stopped. You're stepping into a chapter that will make sense of every hardship you endured. God is not just giving you restoration, He's giving you revelation. You're about to understand the why. You're about to see the purpose. You're about to recognize the divine timing that once felt like delay. This is your reminder. Breathe. You are held, you are guided, you are protected, you are chosen, you are being prepared for something big, far bigger than the pain it took to get here. Trust the process, trust the timing, trust the God who has never failed you, not even once. And remember this, the same God who sustained you through the storm is the same God who will celebrate you in the blessing. You've been walking through a season where your emotions have felt unpredictable. Some days you wake up hopeful, ready to fight again. Other days, you wake up exhausted before you even move. You keep telling yourself you're fine, that you're strong, that you can handle it. But the truth is, you're tired of acting like you're not hurting. You're tired of pretending there isn't a silent battle inside you. God sees that. Even when you think you hide it well, even when you bury your feelings beneath responsibilities, expectations, and the fear of appearing weak, He sees through all of it. Right now, He's leaning close, closer than you realize, not because you prayed the perfect prayer or because you've been flawless, but because His love refuses to leave you in the dark you're carrying. He knows the thoughts you won't admit out loud. He knows the questions you silently wrestle with when everything gets quiet. He knows the tension between wanting to trust Him and wanting answers now. He knows the fear that sits behind your confidence. He knows the memories you're trying to heal from, the ones you don't talk about anymore. And He's not disappointed in you. He's not frustrated with your pace. He's not angry because you feel stretched thin. He understands. He empathizes. He cares in ways you haven't even imagined. Right now, God is reminding you that the place you're in is not a punishment, it's a process. Transformation doesn't always feel holy. Growth doesn't always feel beautiful. Becoming stronger doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like breaking. Sometimes it feels like losing control. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart, when in reality, everything is being rearranged. You've been praying for change, but change often comes disguised as discomfort. You've been asking for peace, but peace often begins with releasing things you've outgrown. You've been begging for clarity, but clarity sometimes requires God to remove the voices that were drowning out His own. And yes, you've been seeking breakthrough, but breakthrough often begins in the moments you feel the most stuck. God is not ignoring you, He's positioning you. There are things you think you're ready for that would only overwhelm you right now. There are places you want to step into that require a version of you that's still developing. There are blessings you're praying for that would turn into burdens if they arrived too soon. God is protecting you from premature promotion, premature connections, premature opportunities. He's not withholding, He's perfecting. You've been carrying a weight that was never yours to carry alone. You keep trying to fix everything yourself because you feel responsible for everyone and everything. But God is asking you to loosen your grip. You can't heal what only He can touch. You can't control what only He can shift. You can't speed up what only He can orchestrate. Some of the anxiety you're feeling isn't because things are going wrong, it's because you're trying to do God's job. There is a moment coming sooner than you think when the heaviness you feel is going to break. Not slowly, not quietly, but suddenly. The shift will be so swift, so undeniable, that you'll realize God had been preparing it behind the scenes the whole time. The tears you cried weren't wasted. The nights you prayed weren't ignored. The patience you showed wasn't overlooked. Every small effort, every step of faith, every moment of endurance has been building toward the breakthrough you're about to step into. God is touching parts of your life you forgot needed healing. He's restoring parts of you that you thought were ruined forever. He's reviving dreams that you buried because disappointment convinced you they were dead. He's repairing relationships that once seemed irreparable. He's renewing strength you thought you had lost for good. He's refreshing your spirit in ways that will make you wonder how you ever survived without His presence. And listen carefully, what you're about to receive is not going to be ordinary. It's not going to be small. It's not going to be something you can explain away as coincidence. It's going to be divine. It's going to be undeniable. It's going to be bigger than what you prayed for, faster than what you expected, and deeper than what you imagined. And when it comes, you'll understand why the struggle was long, why the waiting was necessary, and why God had to clear certain things out of your life before the blessing arrived. God is not done with you, not even close. He's about to remind you that His promises don't expire, His plans do fail, and His love doesn't run out. You're on the edge of something sacred, something written for you long before you ever walked into your first storm. Hold on, stay grounded, keep trusting, not because everything feels good right now, but because God is moving even when you can't see it. You're closer than you think, you're stronger than you realize, and the season ahead of you is going to make you grateful for everything that tried to break you.